GamingBolt presents top 15 racing games to look forward to in 2017. Long ago, racing games were the premier genre to showcase new tech and advances in graphics. They have hit a bit of a slump a while ago, leading to a dramatic thinning of the herd, as far as quality additions to the canon were concerned. However, over the last few years, they've started to make a sort of comeback, thanks to the continued success of the Microsoft Forza series and Nintendo's Mario Kart, as well as thanks to racing games being perfectly suited to a lot of new tech on the market, including VR. The genre is starting to show signs of life again. Nowhere is this more evident than if you were to take a look at the list of racing games primed for release just this year alone. We've got a lot of different games spanning different styles, types, aesthetics, and tone, hitting all systems and all looking to be quality. Here's a look at some of them. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 is arguably the best game in the series, and the best racing game of this generation so far. So, an ultimate version of it, one that collects all of its highly acclaimed DLC, adds to its base package, and further adds in a fully fleshed battle mode, the one omission from the original release that held it back from so many estimations, naturally becomes a highly alluring prospect. And that's exactly what Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will be, when it hits the Switch later this month. Mario Kart 8 was always on the cusp of greatness, and this new release will probably push it over the edge. WIPEOUT Omega Collection. Sony's shuttering of Studio Liverpool may have dashed any hopes most had of seeing a current generation Wipeout, but not all is lost yet. WIPEOUT Omega Collection brings WIPEOUT HD, WIPEOUT Fury, and WIPEOUT 2048, the three final entries in the beloved series releasing on the PS3 and PS Vita respectively, to the PS4 in one glorious package. All three games have been remastered, and all three will cumulatively provide players with the best Wipeout action. The series may be dead, but we can at least celebrate its past glories with this upcoming release. Forza Motorsport 7. While not officially announced yet, Forza Motorsport 7 is all but a certainty at this point. Microsoft has, after all, released a new numbered installment in the franchise every 2 years, filling the intervening years with Forza Horizon games. Not just that, we also know from third-party accessory manufacturers that the game is coming, and it will also be something that Microsoft themselves have hinted at before. Going by what we know of the Motorsport series, we can expect top-of-the-line racing simulation action when Forza Motorsport 7 launches later this year, and perhaps on the Scorpio it will also end up setting a new standard for technical proficiency in visuals for racing games. Gran Turismo Sport. A PS4 entry in the Gran Turismo series has been a long time coming. Baffling, Gran Turismo 6, which launched in 2013, the same year that the PS4 launched, was released on PS3. However, Gran Turismo Sport looks to be the result of some soul-searching done by the developers Polyphony Digital, who have seen their star fall and their franchise increasingly lapped and lapped again by rival Forza Motorsport's franchise. With an emphasis on online and community and a back-to-basics approach to motorsport, focusing above all else on unparalleled authenticity, Gran Turismo Sport may just be the game that brings Sony's once premier racing franchise back into the limelight. F1 2017. Another game that hasn't actually been announced yet, and one that we know is coming, thanks to allusions made to it repeatedly, and also thanks to the franchise being, well, annual. Considering just how great and full-featured last year's installment was, expectations are high from F1 2017. And with developers Codemasters having hit their strides as far as development for current generation consoles goes, we know we can expect nothing but the best foot forward from them. Dirt 4. A new F1 game isn't all that Codemasters is working on. We're also going to be getting a brand new game in their flagship rallying franchise. Dirt 4 looks to bring all of the white-knuckled excitement that you'd expect from a top-notch racing game, along with Codemasters' known commitment to accuracy and authenticity in their portrayal of the motorsport, to racing and rallying fans worldwide. Considering just how great Codemasters' output has been these last few years, I think it would be unfair to say anything but expectations from this game are sky high. Project Cars 2. Slightly Mad Studios' Project Cars was one of the most technically accomplished racing simulation games we have received in a very long time. One might argue that its commitment to being an authentic sim sometimes even came at the expenses of it being considered a traditional video game. However, it garnered a fervent fanbase, and that fanbase will get a fully fledged sequel to it this year. With the same focus on highly technically nuanced racing and community, Project Cars 2 looks like it will end up being one of the best racing games to release this year when it launches for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. New Need for Speed. The Need for Speed franchise has seen better days, and it has certainly fallen a fair bit from its heyday in the PS2 era, when games like Need for Speed Underground and Need for Speed Most Wanted were redefining what the public expected from racing games with each new release. Last year was the first time in a very long time where we did not get a new Need for Speed, after the unfortunate failure of 2015's Need for Speed. For this year's game, EA is promising us that we will get the best game in the series yet. Developers Ghost Games are certainly talented, and with their emphasis on community feedback, they have their heart in the right place. So let's hope they can manage to knock it out of the park with this new game this year. Gravel. Developer Milestone Interactive has announced its new IP, an off-road racing game, Gravel. Not much is known about it, but what we do know sounds interesting enough. The game will apparently have dynamic weather, time of day, open environments, and various locales from around the world. Of course, all of this is true of most similar racing games now. Will Milestone be able to inject something special into Gravel to make it stand out in a year full of notable racing games? That is something that remains to be seen. Grip. Currently still in early access on Steam, Grip is meant to be the spiritual successor to Roll Cage, a cult classic racing game series from the PS1 era that emphasized 360-degree racing. Grip stays admirably true to that vision, and its vertigo-inducing tracks are built to showcase and highlight just how crazy things can get when there is no stopping your car. Grip is almost like the ukulele equivalent of racing games. In a world where the genre has advanced far beyond the 1990s, it may almost seem like an anachronism, charming but outdated. And yet, for many who lament the glory days of racing games, that may be exactly what they asked for. Wreckfest. Known as Next Car Game for the longest time, Bugbear's Wreckfest is like a return to the glory days of Destruction Derby and even Burnout, focusing as much on glorious carnage and destruction as it does on racing itself. Wreckfest promises to mix things up by also altering the physics of your vehicles as they get damaged, which is a surprisingly rare feature in games of this type, believe it or not. It's coming from developers who have the pedigree, and everything we've seen looks encouraging. Now to see whether or not it lives up to our expectations when it launches in summer this year on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. World of Speed. Project Cars isn't the only new game that Slightly Mad Studios will push out this year. We're also going to get World of Speed, a brand new racing MMO that allows players to participate in single and team events across a structured progression, all as players vie for control of districts in real-world cities. Really, you can think of this as an online version of Need for Speed Underground or Need for Speed Most Wanted, and you would have the right idea. Hopefully, it's as addictive as those games were. MXGP 3, the official motocross video game. Who says you only have to race cars or go-karts? MXGP lets you burn some tarmac on your favorite two-wheeler. The MXGP World Championship is the premier motorbike racing tournament in the world, and with MXGP 3, Milestone Interactive is looking to bring all of that action right to your TV. With an emphasis on authenticity and realism, MXGP is sure to appeal to those who want to race. They just like two wheels more than four. MotoGP 2017. You can also look to MotoGP 2017 for your motorbike racing action if you want, due to release in June this year. This installment places the focus square on trying to hit 60 FPS to deliver blazing fast and fluid action. It also features what developers are promising will be a radical overhaul of its online mode, as well as a career mode. All in all, it looks to be a promising proposition. Now to see if it can hold its own and deliver some high-octane motocross action. GTR 3. GTR 3 is coming this year, and will place the emphasis on being a proper racing sim, though the developers have promised to make concessions to more casual play for the console version of the game as well. With many connoisseurs of the racing game genre still holding GTR 2 to be the pinnacle of racing sims, it remains to be seen whether GTR 3, which will be developed by Simbin UK and Sector 3, lives up to its pedigree and heritage, but whether or not it does eventually, for now you can consider us very excited. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.